going, everybody? So with the release of I Know What You Did Last Summer 2025, we now have 4 films in the I Know What You Did Last Summer franchise, and I've unfortunately not talked about the franchise that much on the channel after all of these years. The most I've ever talked about it in depth was the Amazon TV series that debuted a couple years ago. Nevertheless, the film franchise, I mean, I love the slasher subgenre, so between this and Scream, each of them are staples in my childhood growing up in the 90s. Of course, this is just my personal ranking of the franchise. Love to know your rankings down below in the comment section. So without further ado, let's get right into my ranking. Coming in last place, I have I Always Know What You Did Last Summer. Unless you're like a die-hard horror fan, I would not expect you to have seen this installment or maybe even knew that it existed at all. If you're somebody that's just finding out that this movie existed from me, I kind of envy you and I warn you to stay away from it. This film feels like a byproduct of that era where direct-to-video, low-budget horror sequels of the 2000s were booming. There is next to no redeeming qualities for this sequel. I would say that the majority of it is quite terrible. It's the true definition of lazy storytelling, and they make no attempts to craft any sort of engaging narrative or characters. From the very beginning of this movie, they established that every single character in this movie is not likable whatsoever, which makes this a grating experience overall. The most laughable part, though, about this entire installment is the killer reveal. It ends up being Ben Willis again, but he's like this supernatural zombie-like creature. Visually, I guess it does kind of look cool just in the context of this universe. It makes absolutely zero sense. Coming in third place, I have I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. Now, is this a great sequel by any means? No, but I overall enjoy the schlocky nature of the sequel. It's one of those elements that makes the sequel kind of fun. You can tell they were just trying their hardest to create something so they could get a sequel out there. You know, having them win tickets to a tropical island to be hunted one by one. Not exactly the sequel that you would ever expect if you just watched the first movie. Embracing the absurdity of the idea is what makes this sequel mildly entertaining. Like in the original, I Still Know's cast is still pretty solid. Jennifer Love Hewitt's still giving it her all, even getting to be a little bit more heroic in the final showdown. There's a lot of actors in this that I quite enjoy. Mekhi Phifer, Jeffrey Combs, Jack Black. You cannot forget the iconic Brandy, who I am so glad that they chose to not kill off in the end like they were originally planning to. One major aspect I've always been really annoyed by, though, with this sequel, and it's not Freddie Prinze Jr.'s fault, it's the fact that the majority of the film's runtime, Ray is on this big solo adventure just to get to the island, so he's not really involved in the majority of the story until the last 15-20 minutes or so. The slasher elements here are entertaining enough, but when you think about the overall plot that went into this, the nature of the fisherman orchestrating this whole scheme with his son to get them onto the island, the more you think about it, the more contrived it becomes. Again, not a great sequel by any means, but it's enjoyable enough. My runner-up spot, I have 2025's I Know What You Did Last Summer. Despite being kind of nervous heading into it, like I do with a lot of legacy sequels, as a legacy sequel, it more than delivered what I wanted overall. One of the best parts for me is the slasher elements. Most of those sequences are excellent and bring so many thrills between the kills and chase sequences. Arguably, I think the fisherman in the new installment is more brutal, creative, and clever compared to a lot of the other iterations we've seen. Even the mystery element within the story, though it takes some inspiration from the original, it spins it into a pretty fresh take that I enjoyed overall thanks to the new cast involved, Chase Suey Wonders and Madeline Klein in particular. Unlike a lot of these legacy sequels, I think they do a good job with the legacy characters, bringing back Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. The two of them have great arcs in the new film while assisting the new cast, and even have some of my favorite moments in the entire film. But coming in at number 1, it has to be the original I Know What You Did Last Summer. The slasher subgenre of horror has always been my favorite, and though I Know What You Did Last Summer is not my favorite slasher franchise, I have always had so much fun with the first film, primarily since it's just such a good setup for a slasher. The mystery element of it all, with these teens keeping a secret that comes back to haunt and toy with them, besides the straight up slasher bits with the fisherman adding a nice flair. The story in of itself is really interesting, and I like the overall character dynamics between this amazing cast. It really is a who's who of who was popular in the 90s. Similar to the first Scream. It is like this perfect time capsule of the 90s. Not only that, but Helen Shivers probably is one of my favorite characters that I wish actually survived. I'm still frustrated to this day that she had one of the greatest chase sequences in a horror movie only to end up very frustratingly being killed. There you have it. That is my ranking of all 4 films from the I Know What You Did Last Summer franchise. Love to know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thank you guys, as always, for checking out videos. I always do appreciate it. Make sure to like on the video and also subscribe to the channel so you have reviews, reactions, unboxings, and more. Until next time, see you guys later.